In a galaxy of space shooters, this is certainly one of them. This is Sega Masters. Today we look at an entry from a more traditional video game genre, the vertical space shooter, which has graced many an arcade and console throughout gaming history. Astro Warrior marks the genre's debut on the Master System in the West, and it harkens back to the early days of shoot-'em-ups from the early 1980s. But by the late 80s, the genre evolved past the simple ingredients, and Astro Warrior doesn't quite keep up. Just like most other shooters, you're some lone space warrior piloting a trapezoid-shaped ship through 3 vertically scrolling levels, looking to take out some alien army or something. Sega didn't bother with any real backstory or objective to explain the animosity between these two sides. In any case, 1 or 2 alternating players must blast the waves of enemy forces that fly into your path to rack up the points. Several times in each level, you'll soar across these platforms that have pseudo 3D squares to shoot out, which in turn causes power-ups to float down the screen. Snagging these icons increases your speed, upgrades your firepower, and even gives you some Gradius-like options that fight side by side with you. The controls are pretty easy to understand since it's just you dodging your attackers and shooting back. Just prepare for some button mashing since no rapid fire is offered. Incidentally, your ship has no shields and one hit will destroy it, but each level has several checkpoints you respawn from to keep you from having to start the entire level over. But like always, you lose all your upgrades and reset to your default setting until you reacquire them. Not surprisingly, one of 3 monster boss ships awaits to challenge you at the end of each level. It's the usual one-on-one confrontation with you dodging its fire while targeting its vulnerable spots. Should you prevail, you warp on to the next zone while getting a cryptic message about them possibly returning or something. And thus we're in the second zone with its own set of enemies and hazards to overcome. For the most part, Astro Warrior plays decently with some nice, fast-paced action that follows the basic shooter checklist to the letter, but it doesn't do anything beyond what's expected. There's no unique features or anything special to really help it stand out, leaving the game feeling quite generic as a result. The game is also lacking difficulty-wise. The first 2 levels are no problem once you learn all the enemy patterns which never change. Not only that, you're able to collect all the power-ups within minutes of starting the game, becoming an unstoppable killing machine in almost no time at all. The bosses aren't terribly tough either, even without any of the upgrades. In fact, you can waste your aggressor in just a few seconds with a fully powered up ship before you move on from your anticlimactic showdown. The third stage is the only level that gives you any real workout since the difficulty spikes significantly. Your foes come at you much more fast and furious, and you'll need all the upgrades to stand a chance. Should you die and lose the upgrades, you're pretty much dead meat since the platforms come in smaller doses, making it tough to power back up again. Astro Warrior's visuals are decent enough as all the vibrantly colored sprites move smoothly with just a bit of breakup when things get intense. The background isn't much to look at other than the twinkling stars, though the platforms do break up the monotony. The few background tunes aren't anything special but are still pretty catchy, and the sound effects do their job nicely, especially with the explosions. Ironically, should you somehow reach the 3rd boss, Belzebul, you'll find him relatively easy to conquer as well, even with an underpowered ship. A shame since he's a pretty cool looking monster. So what happens when you do defeat this guy? You're simply booted right back to the first stage because Astro Warrior only has 3 levels that cycle endlessly. Yep, Just when the game looked like it was picking up speed, it's over. Plus, everything is almost exactly the same as the first time through with nothing new introduced. Granted, more enemies shoot projectiles, otherwise you've seen it all with one playthrough. Overall, Astro Warrior isn't a terrible game. In fact, it's fairly competent, but it just feels too antiquated compared to its contemporaries at the time with its limited content and featherweight challenge level. Perhaps Sega themselves felt there wasn't enough game to justify its standalone release, as Astro Warrior was later repackaged as part of 2 different combo cartridges. Many in the US may remember seeing Astro Warrior as part of a combo cartridge with the previously released Hang On, which was used as the pack-in title for the Sega Base System bundle. Later in 1987, Astro Warrior made its way to Europe but was comboed up with Pit Pot, an old release from Japan that I will take a look at down the line. In any case, Astro Warrior is an okay choice for a quick shooter fix, but can't hold a candle to the more evolved shooters the Master System has since been graced with, such as Power Strike. Jet jockeys looking for a real battle may want to give this war a pass.